The disturbing world of Looksmaxxing. Let's see how much of an unk I can sound like.
What would you rate Michael B. Jordan?
About 4 out of 10, maybe 3.5. Super facially challenged.
So as we all know, or some of us know, or some of us may not know, in the Twitch world, in the internet world, this young man right here, Clovicular, a young man who is obsessed with his looks, tends to hit the crystal meth pipe every now and then to make sure he is staying facially top tier. Just something that only 2026 could produce. Is there truths into what he is saying? Is there truths into what he isn't saying? Let's dive a little deeper.
Ryan Gosling is a 5.75 out of 10 facially.
I would say Sydney Sweeney is very attractive.
I would say that she's pretty malformed.
Spend a few minutes online, and it's very easy to feel ugly. And in response to that,
First and foremost, I think one thing that needs to be said is we all probably have our taste and flavor. Now, there will be points in this video where I will speak objectively in not really agreeing with what he's saying, but there are just objective truths that I think us as a culture need to, like, at least acknowledge and not be, what's the word I'm looking for here? Not be too delusional and just, try to argue for the sake of arguing.
whole movement has grown around trying to fix it. It's called Looksmaxxing. For most guys, this involves grooming better, getting in shape, and ultimately feeling more confident. But we're seeing this being taken to increasingly extreme lengths.
I use crystal.
As you can see, the young man says on a podcast forum how he uses crystal meth. Step 1.
For hollow cheeks. And I would say the trend is quite positive.
I've been experimenting on and off with bone smashing to see if I can improve my facial structure.
Well, that was the exact plot of the SpongeBob episode with Handsome Squidward. A lot of this
Some have told me I look like handsome Squidward.
isn't satire. Online, people are now analysing faces like stock charts, calling movie stars average, while kids are asking if they look subhuman. Some older members even beg them to leave before it's too late. So what's going on? Why are men now breaking their own?
This is something that's going on right now on the internet. It's completely beyond me. But there is a point where we do have too much social media where now things like this are happening. When this was something we never had to worry about in a billion years. And there has to be a collective point where we're all maybe coming together and realizing we need to reel it back in just a little bit.
Bones, injecting black market drugs and gambling their health, all in the hopes of looking more like terror chads. What do you think? What you just watched was a competitive mog-off.
So if I were looking at this and you never told me what this is, I would say this is probably one of the most zestiest things I've ever witnessed in my entire life. What happened to us men? We fought masculinity so much, and I mean, just like, look at how we're spending our time. Imagine what else could be done in this time instead of this. But we're spending our time. And now, granted, this is a guy who is reacting to these YouTube videos in real time. So you could also argue the same with me and a lot of things that we do in our life. But there's some things where we really have to think about what are we putting our effort towards. You were to ask me what I'm putting my effort toward doing this is, I would tell you that I'm putting my effort towards creating a situation where I can talk openly about different subjects to connect with people outside of my initial genre of being a DJ, where other people can just enjoy my sound bites, my thoughts, my opinions on stuff. Nothing that's going to be too jarring and vulgar where it would push an audience away, but something where I'm trying to just create a new audience in a different light. So there is a method to my madness, but I look at this and I wonder, where do these guys think this will go?
where these guys are trying to win the most amount of votes for who's the most attractive. If you want to increase your chances of mogging, you could attend Mogwarts, an online school for becoming hot.
What?
But it's not just niche communities. An increasing amount of actors, athletes, and even CEOs have completely transformed their appearances.
It's okay. Sometimes, friends, you are broke. You aren't ugly, you are broke. And with money, you can then spend your money on these things to enhance your aesthetic appearance to people. Which, I live in South Florida, and that's just a part of the game, guys. Like, if you would like to live in places like my hometown of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where the tuxedo of choice is a pair of sweatpants from Walmart, then by all means, you can live in these places and you could just live in these rural areas and just rot away and you'll be all right. Everybody will love you. But if you are looking for more for your life, an element of taking care of yourself. Now, here's the caveat to that. Let's say you may be a little portly, a little overweight. You don't have a six-pack. Okay, cool, got it. But does it look like you shower every day? Does it look like that you put at least an effort to come to a business meeting and you put on a suit and tie? These things are important when you're trying to level up and elevate yourself. Now, what we're just being shown is just bonus points of that success. If you noticed a few frames back, the picture of Elon Musk, whether you like him or not, let's see if we can go to that. He was at a PayPal, whatever he was doing, with a collared shirt on. Whether hairline going crazy or not, he was dressed business professional to a degree. So that is, I think, where we're finding our disconnect a little bit here.
CEOs have completely transformed their appearances. I saw a photo recently of who I thought was Mike O'Hearn. I didn't even recognize it was one of my favorite authors, Matthew Walker, the sleep doctor. The male beauty and cosmetic industry has exploded over the last few years. So how did we get here? What makes a man attractive has always been multifaceted. Researchers recognize
I think the perfect hybrid is you got to be a hybrid of this and what's currently popular now. If you could, like the old dude, the Notre Dame guy, the way he puts his fist up, if you could be a hybrid of what this is and current male standards of what's attractive, I think you're in good standing.
key traits like physical cues, status, and personality. Looks have always mattered, but they were only one piece of the puzzle, but they've become increasingly emphasized with the creation of social media. Just look at this graph for how couples are meeting. In-person connections have fallen.
Man, that online, that's so real. How many of my weddings do I hear in the beginning ceremony that the couple had swiped left or swiped right on some stupid ass app? And that is, if that is how you guys met, terrific. However, that's not the way nature intended.
While online dating has exploded, now you can meet people from anywhere in the world. It's a much bigger pond, and for many, it feels more competitive. And as real-world social spaces have declined massively, many men started turning to the internet for answers. That's where free worldviews took shape. Blue pill, what most people fall under. Dating
Oh, we're getting into that part of YouTube.
is about personality, kindness, and connection. Be yourself and things will work out. Red pillars see this as remaining in a comforting illusion because they believe that dating is really about status.
Now, what he's gonna say is because I think he might be coming from a lens that's more adjacent to, I hope I don't get demonetized already. I hope he's coming up from more of a blue pilled lens. Now, if you consume the type of red pill content and you've, heard a few people in that, yes, they do have a frame of what he's about to say, but also there is another side of it too. He's about to say dating is about status, confidence, and blah, 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 blah. If you think about what he's saying with the blue pill in this, he's kind of saying in a sense the same thing. It's just be yourself and then whatever's going to come to. He's leaving a little bit out of but these are all terms that he's about to talk about that have come from the red pill. So the terms that he's about to use aren't maybe well known to a wide variety of people that don't take in internet content.
Confidence and dominance. If you level up, you can win. This is seeing the true rules of attraction. But then there's the black pill. Your genetics and looks decide everything. If you're unattractive, it's already over.
I mean, and a lot of people just don't have a personality anyway. So, you know, you'll meet a lot of people, especially like, I don't know, if you meet a lot of, you know, if you dated a few women in your day, and you'll kind of realize, you know, once you start dating like highly attractive women, you'll realize that they kind of lean most of their personality and just the way that they go through life on that. And, you know, that's where I think a lot of disconnect is between a lot of us, but also with internet things happening in the day and time that we're in, that's kind of where this is all coming from too.
Brutally fatalistic idea. As a skinny teenager, that idea felt bleak. I already felt unsure about myself. Everywhere I looked, I would see more and more fitness transformations where someone would completely transform. So I saw getting shredded as a solution to all my problems. I couldn't see it yet, but this was the beginning of a...
It's not a solution, but it does create habits. I think more of the habits that you're forming, and then the good looks from that will just come on the back end of that. Also, you know, these dudes with these skinny frames, they don't know how good they got it, because when you gotta be a husky boy like your man's was when he was a little pup, and you have to lose and then tone. That's the worst. But when you're a skinny fuck, you can just eat whatever, eat mass amounts of it, make sure you're working out. And then if you fucking do that, it'll just get allocated to your muscles. And then those dudes get yoked like hella fast. And me, I'm trying to get down to a certain point so I can level up to a certain point. So they don't really know how easy they got it for some people. But the key is he did make the decision to go do something about it. That part, very important.
pretty unhealthy chapter, as a new ideology was quietly growing.
Male glow-ups have reached new levels with the rise of something called Looksmaxxing. It's a TikTok trend taking hold of men seeking to maximize their physical appearance.
But it didn't start on TikTok. It originated in anonymous forums, filled with men who believed they were genetically doomed in dating.
And I think that every woman who encounters me on the street is inherently disgusted by me. I'm physically unattractive, I'm visibly autistic, and I have no experience speaking to females.
We're going to validate what this young man is going through and what he's talking about right now, and that is an issue that some people have. Like, nobody realizes other people's plight until they really try to put themselves mentally in their shoes. And I think I've had a period where I've felt like every person that's going to be talked about in something like this, where I felt like I was on the low end of the spectrum. I'm just getting out of the army. I felt like that I didn't have anything going for me at the time. And then I was building myself up. And then I noticed people starting to be more, attracted to me, coming towards me. I then hit another low point where I felt like no one wanted to be around me. And then you get back up again, and then you get your fitness right and things are working out for you. And then that kind of stuff exudes off of you. But then some people will never know what that's like because they have things that they can't control, which must be like super hard, because for a majority of men, that's kind of where they have the loneliness epidemic coming in, because a lot of them, are predisposed to being lonely already. And then they don't know how to cope with that loneliness at the same time because of things that they can't control. Now, if you're a gentleman who can control some of the things that, the situations that you put yourself in, your fitness, your health, what you're eating, and, you have readily available access to actually fix those type of things, well, then that's the conversation that you have to have with yourself.
Many had felt ignored and assumed it was their looks that were responsible. So they started to wonder, how could they optimize them? In its earliest form, Looksmaxxing was extreme. Surgeries, drugs, anything that promised escape from being labelled genetically inferior. And what kept people locked into it was an uncomfortable truth. Looks really do matter, and studies back that up.
Hamimesh et al. Found that attractive individuals tend to earn 3 to 4% more than their less attractive counterparts.
And, this is something that no one, and your school teachers won't say this to you. I'm sorry, guys, but if you're, somewhat attractive, it will open up more doors for you. And not only that, if you're attractive and you have a great personality too, and you're not a dick, oh my goodness, you're gonna like, you know, your losses are gonna be so minimal compared to most. And then that's just sometimes the way it's gonna be, and it's not fair. But life isn't fair. Life is not fair, friends. I want you always to remember that. You will be up, you will go down, and no one will be there. You'll try to look for people's love.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
People are gonna say,
Brother, this guy stinks!
in a recurring loop to you. You're going to hear it more than once, and then you're going to have to find it in yourself to build back up. So, friends, first and foremost, always remember life isn't fair, okay? Life is a ever-moving circle that you're going to have to go up and down, and the circle pulses at times, and you're going to go in and out, up and down, all around. So this is definitely something that isn't fair, but it is.
While 58% of Fortune 500 CEOs are over 6 foot, even though only around 15% of the US male population reach that height.
Or Ruffle and colleagues have shown that unattractive criminals go to jail for twice as long as attractive criminals.
Now, correlation does not mean causation, but pretty privilege does seem to exist. Psychologists call this the halo effect, the tendency to assume that good-looking people are more competent, more trustworthy, and more valuable.
Well, this is also like how you carry yourself, because confidence will speak also a little bit louder than if you're attractive, because you can see an attractive person, but they don't have like a confident posture, and their posture will just like, people are always judging you. And I know everyone wants to, you know, be like, well, they should get to know who I am inside. No, first impressions are going to happen. People like you, even the person saying that, if they were walking down the street and a homeless man was coming up to them like blah, blah type of shit, and that homeless person probably has a heart of gold, but are they going to stop to talk to that homeless person and be like, you know what, you're over here talking like the Tasmanian devil, but sir, I know you have a heart of gold. Bullshit. Hey, fantasy sports fans, are you ready to take your skills to the next level? With Underdog Fantasy, you can draft your favorite players so you can make the ultimate picks to win cash. And it's super simple. All you have to do is pick more or less on your favorite player's stats, and if your pick is correct, you get cashed out instantly. And I can't think of any other way that I would watch the game after using Underdog Fantasy, and I want you to join up by using my promo code BBSound1. By using my promo code, Underdog Fantasy will match your deposit up to $100 so you can start playing instantly. Download today and start making your picks. Underdog Fantasy, where every fan becomes a champion.
The forums tried to turn attraction into something objective. They built systems, facial ratios, skull measurements, and eye-shaped theories.
Yeah, see, look, we got a lot of nerds on the internet. This is you're on, if you're measuring this stuff about other men, you're on nerd time. Get off, go touch grass. Go outside, guys. Go outside.
All designed to create a mechanical hierarchy of beauty. The most famous was a PSL scale, a ranking from 1 to 8.
Goes from subhuman, sub 5, Chad.
The goal of Looksmaxxing is simple: ascension. Move up the ladder, and to do that, there's 2 paths. Soft maxing, which is the more mild stuff you see on TikTok. Skin maxing, hair.
See, like these dudes are not doing this for women. Who came up with that scale then? Other men. And then who are you? You're trying to get girls doing all of this? Because this is lingo that I feel like is more talked about in the male space than it is in the female space. I'm just saying.
Maxing, gym maxing. But then there's hard maxing. Permanent, often high-risk changes to the body. This includes jaw surgeries, performance-enhancing drugs, but also more extreme stuff, such as the brutally painful leg-lengthening surgery.
That's around $100,000 for the surgery, with months of rehabilitation afterward. This is not something to take lightly.
Some forms of hard maxing have become normalized, like braces or hair transplants. But because many of these...
Beauty is also pain, guys. So look, man, if you want it and you got the paper for it, and you willing to go through the sacrifice to get to the point, then, you know what I mean? I personally, when it comes to this stuff, do you. Like, you know what I mean? Now, will it look good on the back end and maybe you've gone a little bit too far on the other side? That can happen. However, it's a choice. If you have the money, you are not ugly, friends. You're just broke.
Procedures are expensive or age limited. Some teenagers turn to extreme DIY alternatives. But before we dive into the darker side of the trend and its wider effects, a quick word from today's sponsor, Legend London. They make minimalist clothing. Glow Up Transformations were my first window into this world. There's these apps which you can scan your face with and generate these Looksmaxxing top trumps with the goal of leveling up your stats.
Yo, we have too much social media now. Friends, we have too many of this going on. We should not get rid of it all, but we should at least try to just have our main sources that we go to and spend our time a little bit more wiser.
The most highest rated on the PSL scale are referred to as the PSL gods. Anonymous forums
noticing a little trend here. Does anyone else notice the trend?
Are typically edgy in nature. Not everything is to be taken seriously. There's a mix of trolling and genuine degeneracy, which is why news sites struggle to understand it. But beneath the memes are guys seeking advice. A lot of it boils down to losing body fat, skincare, and personal hygiene. But you'll also find guides on how to...
Honestly, if you guys, I mean, I mean, you could try whatever on the screen right now, but if you do those 3 things and focus on being the best at those 3 things, you'll do okay.
Maximize your testicle volume, how to lose a pound of fat a day with miracle drugs, and more obsessive posts, such as this kid who shared his photos, along with every single measurement from his body.
Like, guys, that is a waste of, you guys are spending too much time on go out, guys, friends, go outside. Please go outside.
Only to be told by over 100 people that he is truly subhuman. With the top comment being, I think you should take a break from this forum, bro. People can get quite obsessive, such as this guy who made a whole post about how he'd look kissing a girl. The top response, why do you do this to yourself?
And okay, this is a generation that has grown up with this internet and thinking this is the time to spend their time. When I grew up back in my day, we only had AIM, and maybe there was a little bit of that going on, but like this is not how to spend your time, my friends.
But there's something sad about some of these posts. A young guy will post their photo along with a self-loathing caption, "Is it even possible for a human to look more subhuman than me?" And it's met with questionable advice. Inject tea and human growth hormone ASAP, not even trolling. Rope you up to subhuman. Yes, sorry, very subhuman, look like vermin.
So the overwhelming majority of people said, well, basically that I'm unsavable, and the only recommendation for me is surgery.
I started posting in the bodybuilding forum as a 14-year-old looking for advice. A lot of it was decent, but you'd also...
How many of those dudes tried to get up in that, though? Stop. Let me say, y'all are just going to rant. Like, look, man, y'all are focused on the wrong stuff. And it's a lot of stuff that we know the answers to. And me, I'm a little fluffy, but I go to the gym. I shower every day. I'm bald, you know, but I am who I am. And I can't control that. But at the end of the day, guys, none of this matters when you have money. Sorry, guys. None of any of that matters. None of that would matter. Get your money up and not your funny up. Get your money up and not your funny up. And that is harsh. It sounds harsh. It is harsh. But if you had some paper, you could put some of that paper to use towards yourself, whether it be this, that, in the third or whatever. You know, now will money make you not corny and a lame? Nah, that's not true. It won't, but it'll definitely mitigate some of the time that people will spend either noting that you're a lame or corny. So look, man, get off the internet, go outside, open up a business, go get a taco truck and get your paper up, and then open up 3 taco trucks, and then buy a nice car, and someone will dig it. Get a tattoo on your arm, you know, just, you calm down.
Also get people taking the piss, but I stuck around because I wanted to do what it takes, whether that's wearing joggers under my school trousers to look less skinny, or putting weights in my school bag. I even asked for fat calipers for Christmas.
What? Like, what do you do? Like, man, you gotta get a PlayStation like this. Y'all, you're tripping. You're tripping, my friends. You're tripping. Like, you are so focused on the things that you should not be focused on. Be active. Do these things and just and try to improve little by little, my guy. Like, this is over the top.
When I was looking like this, shame or feeling insecure can be a...
That kid had I never had a fucking, like, you see what I'm saying? He's tripping over a six-pack. That's because he was born with the internet. He was born with the internet put right in his palm, and then he's getting, he's on forum. Like, I was never on a forum ever. What forum do I have time to be on? I need to find out how I'm going to improve myself. Now, granted, he took time out to make this YouTube video, and shouts out to him. But you're where the time allocated is right now with men is insane.
Very powerful motivator for change, but for many, it becomes an unhealthy obsession, as indicated by this post, where a 14-year-old asked people to rate.
14 years old, doing this, and is this Facebook? Like, what is this? What even? I would never know where to even look for this, nor would I even be asking anybody these type of questions.
Tim, get off the forum, go outside, and make friends now. For most people, it stops there, but for some,
you can always be thinner, look better.
That's how figures like clavicular rise.
If you could go back in time, would you still take tests at 14 years old?
Absolutely, yeah. $35,000 for a double jaw surgery.
Yeah, okay. And then the kid has some money. So we're watching this kid who had money do what people with money do. And we're all trying to mimic what a person with money did. With money. He just said it. $35,000 on that. Like, where did he get that from? Was he born with that?
It's crystal for hollow cheeks. I'm not a huge longevity guy.
He became famous inside the Looksmaxxing spaces for taking things further than anyone else. He posted about watching surgery videos so he could operate on him.
And mind you, this is all men talking to men about this. To get girls to be
himself, drug use, and about how you could use student loans to pay for plastic surgery, until he was reported to the university.
I was kicked out of uni for essentially Lookmaxxing.
But by then, he was already a popular influencer. Most people are watching for the entertainment or shock value.
I literally witnessed Clav snort meth. Literally. Witnessed it.
While others see him as proof that if you're willing to sacrifice everything, you could ascend. The media often presents the darker side.
And now he's in the New York Times. So who is at fault here? Because this is what the people, this is getting put out into the masses now. I'm talking about it on this YouTube show. So this is getting put out, this is what's getting fed to us, guys. You got to kind of be above the noise with stuff like this and just live your life and go outside.
Like it's new, but we've seen something very similar before.
And now, Stacy, take off the bag. Here we go, and let's see the face.
She's actually like a 7 in Indiana.
Oh. Stacy's got to be top, and the crowd starts freaking me.
This was classic 2000s television, where humiliation was entertainment, and where modern beauty culture went mainstream. Because today, the global beauty industry is worth over $600 billion. Back in the early 1900s, advertising was simple. You sold the product, the price, and the quantity. But for America, to enter its golden age of capitalism, something had to change. You see, you could only sell so many bars of soap. That's when companies started hiring psychologists to try and drive more sales, such as Edward Bernays, the father of modern PR, and the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He believed people were irrational, insecure, impulsive, and emotional. And if you could tap into that, you could get them to buy anything. So he reframed products as symbols. He took cigarettes, which were taboo for women at the time, and branded them as torches of freedom. He linked smoking to female liberation, and cigarette sales soared. This is where marketers started really focusing on pressing on pain points, with classics like, if men hate the sight of you, read this. Romance dies of a touch of dishpan hands. This is no shape for a girl. It's far more profitable to market inferiority. I'm not a communist.
Now, it's funny because there was never a middle ground. Like, you see how, like, in your face for that time that type of marketing is, and it's kind of like we've, like, done the same thing. I think there was a lull period in the early 2000s where, yes, that was like what he was showing was like late night Howard Stern humor. But then there was like also a period where like there were still limits on what we were like promoting to people. Now it's just like the floodgates are open. I'm probably going to insert a gambling commercial in the middle of this, and that's where we are.
Or anti-business, but there's definitely a line that gets crossed. When tabloids fat-shame Britney Spears for clicks, when heroin chic was sold as a beauty ideal, out of that came eating disorder communities, risky cosmetic procedures, and generations of women who hated their reflection. For decades, this machine
we haven't seen any people of color, barely, in this.
was aimed almost entirely at women, but now it's being pointed at men. We have drugs being used as glow-up tools. Instead of airbrushed magazine covers, you get fabricated AI glow-ups, which thousands of people are falling for, along with rebranded eating disorders and forms of body dysmorphia. This is where it started going wrong for me. I was copying fitness influencers, disordered eating tips, spending most of my money on useless fat burners, and I picked up health issues from nutrient deficiencies. Despite looking better, I felt worse. When you turn self-worth into a product, someone always pays the price. The people staring at the screen, wondering what's wrong with them.
This guy has now had 10 surgeries in a year, and he says he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, including the latest procedure just a few weeks ago where his eyes were turned outwards again.
Again, if you have some money and you can put it towards yourself, am I against anybody doing like any sort of plastic surgery to improve a few things for themselves? Absolutely not. But also just try to manage having a limit. Don't get addicted to getting surgery, because it's kind of like a tattoo. You get one, and then after your fourth or fifth, you start getting bad tattoos. And I got a couple bad tattoos, and I already know that. But I'm saying this for everyone: when you have the opportunity to go get this surgery, you know, don't lose your mind. Get a couple things touched up, and then work out on top of that. And it'll, you know, and then like really, really go outside. That's the biggest thing I'm going to keep saying after everything. Go outside and just take a breather. You've done it.
Not even the people paying tens of thousands for the best surgeries are guaranteed to have no complications. Take leg lengthening surgery. It costs over $100,000 and involves breaking both femurs and slowly pulling them apart over months. If it works, you gain a few inches of height, but you also lose athleticism, and in worst case scenarios, it can lead to amputation. Now, these are extreme, but the tools behind them are now being repackaged and marketed to far younger people. Teenagers who'd be turned away by doctors are turning to Telegram chats, forums, and grey market labs to chase the same changes.
After 6 weeks, I had liver failure.
Oh, fucking liver failure. How?
It was hard because every night, every single hour, my parents came in my room to check if I was dead, basically.
Yet, these are often glorified and promoted to teenagers.
Looksmaxxing community.
I'm not going to lie, the amount of peptides that I'm getting pushed to me on my feed, on my Instagram, is crazy. And I kind of want them, but there's a part of me that's just like, do I need to inject these chemicals? It's tough, man. It's tough there. So, you know, also do your research prior to like starting any of that, because as you can see, that guy he hopped right in and then liver failure from whatever he was taking.
These are almost competing with each other to try and come up with the most extreme remedies possible for improving your looks.
But by far the most harmful consequences for most people are the psychological ones. I fell into the trap of obsessing over flaws and being hypercritical, because focusing on what I wasn't good at helped me improve in sports and at school. But that mindset started bleeding into everything. I became hard on myself full stop, to the point where when someone would compliment me, I'd assume that they were mocking me. I stopped socializing as much, and I'd feel guilty about when I ever felt okay about myself. What keeps you stuck in this is how comforting that harshness can feel, because somewhere along the way, you start believing that suffering equals progress. But live like that long enough, and you stop believing progress is even possible. Psychologists call it learned helplessness, when repeated failure convinces you nothing you ever do will be good enough. So you stop trying. A lot of these people convince themselves that they're bottled.
Like I said, guys, life is going to go up, down, left, right, forward, backward. You're going to feel up and you'll never feel up like you never felt up. And then you're going to go down and then you're like, I'll never get up again. But then you get back up and then it's not up enough. And then you go down a little bit and you're like, oh, I'm down again, but I was up. You'll never, like, we are humans. We are ever changing organisms that there's never going to be a end. There should never be an end, guys. You should just want to keep doing it. That is why Nike's slogan is just do it. It doesn't say just be champion. It doesn't say just be the gold medalist. It says just do it. Just go and do it every day that you want to do it, every day that you don't want to do it, every day in between. Just do it. Never feel like that there's an end goal. Find moderation. Find peace within yourself. Go outside. Go outside.
Necked by their 7 out of 10 looks, not the fact their other attributes are at a 2 out of 10, or they've consumed so much pseudoscientific slop that their self-esteem is non-existent.
You know, you went on this when you were like a 17-year-old, so you first found out about Looksmaxxing and started using these forums. You're now 20.
20, yep.
Are you happier now after all this?
I wasted so much time, and my perception of myself right now is worse than ever.
Because who are you doing it for? Are you doing this for you, or are you doing this so other? Because I think this is like, guys, I think the word friend is used very loosely, and I feel like we use it a lot to describe people, and you don't need a lot of friends. Sorry to say, brother. You do not need a fuck ton of friends. You don't need a fuck ton of people that you're conversating with on the day in and day out. Right here should be numero uno, who you have the utmost love and respect for first, and then that will vibrate with the people who that vibrates with, and they'll naturally come to you like, who would you be doing this for?
Even when they already look great. But this pattern isn't new. The ancient Greeks actually had a cautionary tale that captures the darker side of this obsession perfectly. In Greek mythology, Narcissus was a young man who once caught his reflection in a still pool of water. Mesmerized, he kept staring, mistaking it for someone else. He became obsessed, stopped eating, and stopped sleeping, eventually wasting away beside the image he could never touch. A narcissus flower grew in his place, which is where the word narcissism comes from.
Did you ever... I didn't know that. Look, you're going to learn something. When you watch these reaction videos, you're going to learn something, and then on the weekend, I'm going to post a fire DJ mix. Magic happens on this YouTube channel, guys. Let's go.
I think that maybe there's more to life than being really, really ridiculously good looking.
Harvard psychiatrist Dr. Harrison Pope has spent decades studying what he calls the Adonis complex, a condition where men become obsessed with their appearance and believe they're never muscular or attractive enough, even when they already look great. From the outside, it looks like narcissism, but Pope's research shows it's often the opposite. Body dysmorphia for men, driven by unrealistic standards and constant comparisons. But what helped pull me out of my own spiral with fitness wasn't affirmations or self-belief slogans. It was a book from the 1960s that was way ahead of its time. In the 1960s, a plastic surgeon named Maxwell Maltz noticed something strange. Some patients completely changed their faces and still felt ugly.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing where you just go way too far with it, and you're like, some people are just like, honestly, they don't have that much going on, so when they have the opportunity to like continuously get surgery, it keeps them in a loop and makes them feel like they're actually doing something. So that's why we all as humans need to take time to find a hobby. I think a lot of people don't have like good healthy hobbies. Like, what's your like actual hobby that you could do for a long amount of time that you won't get physically exhausted doing, or you won't get thumbs up, and you won't get mentally exhausted trying to find things like that. I feel like are a very healthy alternative to wanting to always maybe be under the knife to where you get so far to the other side where you feel like you look like Frankenstein.
Others barely changed at all, and suddenly became more confident and more social. The surgery alone wasn't what changed their lives. It was how they saw themselves. If someone believed they were broken, no new face could fix it. Self-image isn't just how you see yourself, it's how you think the world sees you. As one sociologist put it, you're not who you think you are, you're not who others think you are, you're who you think others think you are.
Boom. You are not who you think you are. You are not who others think you are. You are who others think you are. I actually got to take a quick picture of this while I'm reading it to you guys. Hold on one second. That was actually fire. I had to post that on my Instagram stories. Follow me, Brandon Beach Sound, on Instagram. I'm going to make sure that I leave the link to this video in the description. And I think my final thoughts on what I have to say with this is for the young men that are, happen to stumble upon this video. And I'm saying this, I'm 35, guys. I might seem old and to some people that might fall onto this video, whether you're like 17, 18 or whatever, but I will say that you must not have any idolization to these internet, characters that you are seeing. Now, I do understand this is maybe some of your current generation's main form of media. You have to find yourself and not try to look to be like, most other people. Because the truth is, there's going to be a lot of other people that you're just doing the same shit as. No one is unique. No one is doing anything different. I'm not doing anything different. And I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm not doing anything different. You don't need to beat yourself over the face with a 5-pound weight to break your jaw. You just need to have healthy activities that you do on a day in and day out basis. You need to take a break from things when you're doing them too much, and you need to go outside and you need to breathe some fresh air. And those things alone, if you cut out all that extra noise, you don't need to feel like you have to go to a chat room or a blog or whatever that is going on where people are asking other, men or like what they look like. Like, dude, you're kind of just asking for that. I would comment some crazy. I would say, yo, you ugly. I would just go in on you right there. I would just go in on you. I'd be like, nope, no, you ugly fool. Just because it's the end, like you're gonna ask a bunch of just like the World Wide Web. You're just gonna ask a World Wide Web of strangers. You don't need to do that, man. You need to make sure that you're staying active. You need to make sure you're eating clean food, and you need to make sure that you're very selective about the energy that you bring around you. You do those few things in your life, and then you're just gonna end up maxing on all of the cylinders that you want to max in your life. Like, comment, and subscribe. We love y'all, man. Peace.